back. What's going on? Hey, tonight we were talking in the Discord channel for Heroes Forge, and they had some really cool information about what's coming out for the game. Sounds like in the next day or two, so it was really cool to hear, and I wanted to make a video, kind of go through some of the details of what they announced and what's coming out. So let's take a look at what they said. We'll come back to this cool picture. This is something they shared today. One of the new dungeons will be able to attack and actually one of the new characters, but more on that in a second. So first of all, there's a new legendary. So they haven't given us a name for this, but they did say he would be a pure tank and he would actually be for the light faction, and he would be in the legendary tier. So this kind of aligns with the Paladin and the fire. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, and the Adjudicator. So they all kind of had that same look and feel, kind of the WoW Paladin look. But they said this will be released with the patch as well. So looks like it might be a cool character. The dragon, I don't remember seeing unless it's a different version of one of the bosses they already have in the game. But it's a cool screenshot anyways, kind of gives you a look at what he's going to look like, and should be out in the next day or two, which is pretty cool as well. So some of the things they discussed is there's going to be some new gear sets and some new campaigns at some point. They didn't specifically say when the campaign itself would be out, but they did say the gear sets are something they're working to release really soon here. So they're basically going to rework the dungeon system for the game itself. And right now, the dungeons are sort of broken up into just different tiers, like a basic mode, a heroic mode, and I think there's one for each class. So what they did say is, hey, we wanted to mix up dungeons, and we want to actually have gear sets fall within each dungeon. So each dungeon will have its own unique set of mechanics. So I'm assuming you'll have to have different characters, different ways of kind of approaching each dungeon. They did say the enigmatic gear will remain in the game. And they're also going to be doing a rework of the inventory management to kind of optimize the flow. I didn't really catch what that means specifically. I'm assuming that you'll have a way of kind of gathering sets and making it easier to kind of equip your characters and make sure you're moving forward. They did say for the campaign, right now we have a mixed mode. It's the light and the darkness sides of the actual classes. So they did say they're going to be creating a campaign for both light and dark, and extending the light and darkness campaign, which is pretty cool. So me and myself, I think I've been about a month and a half into the game. I'm mostly through the mixed version of it now. I think there's a bunch of, I guess maybe a handful of heroics, I should say, at the last tier. Those are somewhat difficult. I think there's some characters I might need to farm up to get past those, but I did kind of reach to the end of that pretty quickly. So it's cool to hear that's going to be coming out soon. So they did announce the actual names of each gear set. So the first gear set, this is one of 5, is Vampiric. And so it's going to do... For a percent of your direct damage, you're going to get that returned as HP. So this, I'm assuming, will be if you have the full set, you'd have to have all 9 or all 12 gear pieces, to make that kick into effect. And looking through kind of synergies and the different characters, where this looked like it may kind of work really well would be with something like an Ironclaw, who has a skill that can do 3 random shots. I'm assuming those would all be things that would return healing back to you. Interceptor has kind of a 2-shot deal where she can silence you with a hit. I think it's silence, and then follow that up with a free turn. Again, that's kind of 2 hits for 1. And then the Planeswalker, I'm not sure if he'll work as well, but it seems like he takes a lot of turns, just in terms of watching him. Plus, he has a heal on himself already, so that mixed with a heal for each hit seems like it might be really, really powerful. And then also, this kind of ties well with Angel. I think it would actually work well with any of the actual... Guardians, because really, if you're not using Angel, you probably need healing. But I'm thinking if you mix Angel with this one in particular, you'd really, really have a strong team that's going to be a real pain to kind of kill and knock down on the HP side. So that's the first set, Vampiric. The second set is called Cursed, and it's going to apply a random curse on each attack. So right now, the character with the most energy is the Shaman. He's the only one that really kind of dumps a bunch of curses into the game. Mix that with the Guardian Spectre, who also kind of pairs well with Shaman. So you would see kind of a lot of dumping curses on your opponents in that setup, I think. So right now there's not a lot of characters that kind of use the curse keyword, it looks like, but looking at just at high level synergies, and I'm planning on doing a video a little bit more later about the synergies themselves, but right now these are probably the 2 that stood out the most in this setup. So kind of a counter to that curse set, there's this Radiant set, and that's going to actually allow you to apply debuff block at the start of your turn. So it's sort of like a direct counter to Cursed, which is sort of an interesting thing. So you can actually maybe look at your team that you're going up against and say, oh, okay, they're going to go after me with this Curse set. I'm going to go in there with my Radiant set. I'm going to kind of take that to my advantage. So I'm basically going to neuter what they're trying to do, which is kind of an interesting setup. So looking at some of the possible synergies there, Paladin has a bubble. Like a shield, so that may be something if you're trying to take advantage of that, you want to make sure and get use of it. If you have this, then it can't be blocked by a curse. Oracle also has like a buff where she does, I believe it's more damage. Same with Slasher, so they kind of buff themselves up, and then the next turn they can hit. So if you had kind of a curse where they could block that from happening, that would kind of neuter that character. Oracle's a really strong character, anyways, but you want to look for kind of characters who are going to throw buffs on themselves, and then you'd want to make sure and run those characters because you're going to have that advantage and to not be able to throw curses on top of you. Angel seems to work well with that as well. She's going to be applying buffs to your characters. Bubbles is another one, or shields. That's another one, right, that you'd want to make sure she's taking full advantage of. That's one of her major skills. So I think if you're going to run that set, you'll probably want Angel as your guardian. Restorative is sort of very similar to the other one. It's a heal at the end of the turn, and I guess there's not a lot I saw in terms of matching these with synergies with the characters themselves. I don't know what the advantage is going to be of a heal off of a hit versus a heal at the end of the turn. A heal at the end of the turn, I'm assuming, I guess that means if you didn't do an actual attack, if you did some other spell or some other type of interaction, then you would still get the heal. So maybe this is a little bit more powerful. But these, again, I think really align with the Guardians like Lilim and Spectre, where you don't really necessarily have the heals like you do from the other Guardians. So something to think about. We'll see more, obviously, as these sets kind of roll out, what kind of interactions they have, and as people kind of get characters to end game and start farming up these sets. I'm sure we'll find some clever ways to kind of use them. These are just kind of first thoughts looking through the various lists. And the final set is already in the game. It's called Fireborn. It applies burn at the end of a turn. So this really applies well with like the Fire Raider, the Pyromancer. Lilim also has a fire debuff. Pyromancer has a really powerful spell if someone has burn on them already. So those all three kind of line up really well with that synergy. Again, it's time will tell, right? And as they add new characters to the game, we'll see which ones kind of elevate above this. So those are the sets themselves, and those again will be, I believe, in the next patch coming out. So super exciting stuff. Lots more stuff to farm, and you can kind of start tailoring characters to various kind of sets, which is cool. It's very cool. So they did post a couple screenshots. Of each one. This one's the Mistress of Pain. They didn't mix up the characters, I noticed, when they showed these screenshots, so maybe they don't want to give away kind of what works well. A lot of these characters are epic or legendary characters. I did notice this is a level 10 character versus a level 1 character, or levels, I think some even say 0, I may be wrong there. But anyway, so this is a look at some of the new dungeons. She's kind of the boss in the back there. Looks pretty cool. The art looks really nice in this. Another boss. Again, they're using these same characters for the most part, so it's hard to really say what the best mix is going to be to fight these. This is another one. Again, the same set of characters. I thought this guy was really cool. It looks like a little bone dragon. It's probably something else in mythical terms. I'm probably going to get people mad at me for calling it a dragon, but whatever. It's a bone drake or bone whatever. Again, same mix of characters. And then this is sort of a spider lady. I'm assuming she'll throw either poisons or they'll stun you or keep you from moving or root you, something like that. So pretty cool stuff. All this is supposed to be coming out. These are all going to be the various tiers of the new dungeons. So these will be interactions you'll have to bring in your characters to beat to get these new gear sets. So the next thing they announced, or they kind of brought up today, and I think they've announced this for a while, and they've said really, right now, guilds and these reworks of dungeons are their top two items. That's what they're focusing most of their energy on. So with the guilds, they did mention that these are sort of the base level of things they wanted to get in. So be able to create a guild and set up membership. Guild quests, guild dungeons, guild raids, those all sound very cool. Right now there's a raid in the game to have a guild-specific raid with specific gear. That sounds really cool. Guild skills and guild leveling. I don't know what those will be. I'm assuming you can level up your guild. I don't know what the skills will be. I don't know if this will feed into your characters. They haven't really went into much detail, but it is intriguing. And this is, again, this is part of the core set of things they wanted to push out with this first release. They did say later on guilds will have guild wars and sieges. I don't know what a siege would be, but it sounds cool. Events and alliances. So again, those are all still, I think, a work in progress. They're not really slated for this first initial release, but again, in the next few days, they're hoping to push these things out, get these into the players' hands, and let us start doing some guild stuff. I know there were several people in the Discord excited about being the first to get their guild up and running, so we'll see where it falls. I'm on NA, by the way. I use Stone Donkey as my my handle, so you can find me on there if you're looking for a guild mate. So that is it for this update. Like I said, very exciting stuff. The game should be updated in the next day or two. Hopefully we'll have more details about how these sets kind of interact with people, what they look like, how they're gonna work with the characters, and maybe some cool synergy as they come out. I'll be doing a video soon in the next few days about the synergies amongst the characters in the game, the heroes themselves. I kind of went through this weekend and just really went through each character, kind of looked over their skills, and kind of tried to see, okay, well, who works well with who, right? Like, this person has poison, who else has poison, or who else gets an attack bonus off of a poison type thing. Right now, there's not a lot of that in the game. There's a few, but I think as they add new characters and there's new things added to the game, maybe some of these guild tweaks, things like that, there'll be more benefits and more ways to take advantage of these various buffs and debuffs throughout the game. So anyways, I appreciate you guys watching. If you would if you liked the video, subscribe. I just built this channel, so I'm looking forward to doing more game content. I really enjoy this game. I look forward to doing more videos and working with the community to come up with new cool things to talk about. Look for the new patch in the next few days, and hopefully we'll see you in the game. Thanks for watching.